Hello my makeup loving friends, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Teresa. Today we are going to be looking at Laura Lee Los Angeles' newest offering. It is a collaboration with her niece, Eryn Weaver. So it includes an eyeshadow palette called Candy Skies, which looks a little something like this, and also two lip glosses. I know. Who am I? What am I doing getting lip glosses? You know the general drill of my videos. I do swatches and then I do a tutorial of this particular look, and I also try on both of the lip glosses and give you a review of all of the products. So if that sounds like something that you are interested in, then hurrah, I've done well. I am making appropriate content. Other than that, keep on watching. This is the video for you. Okay, so these actually arrived in the post a few minutes ago. So I'm very excited and I figured we'll do a little bit of a swatch. So this is obviously the Candy Skies by Laura Lee and her niece Eryn Weaver. I talked about this on Releases and Runs. I really like the aesthetic of this. So we're going to do some swatches, you know, the general jazz. And I'm going to start with the first row. Now, I've never tried anything from Laura Lee before. This is the very first one. So, marshmallow, macaroon, pink strawberry, and peach ring. Actually, there's a very fruity smell off it. I don't dislike it. This is exciting. Okay, so this is marshmallow. Okay, that shows up on me, and I'm very white, so that's good. Oh sorry, it's macaron, not macaroon. My lord, you uncultured swine. So macaron, pink strawberry. There's a fair bit of pigment with that. And peach ring. Now, I think the colour story of this is so fresh, it's so unique. You can really tell that Eryn had a big hand in this, and it just gave me all the feels. When I saw this, I was like, well, oh, sorry, the purple. The purple, just from putting my finger in it, that sounds really wrong, feels very creamy. Anyway, so we have sunset, mint chip, sky blue, and mixed berry. Okay, so let's try this. Sunset. We have mint chip. That's good. That shows up quite nicely because it's a pastel colour. So that's nice to see. Sky blue. Mixed berry, which by the way felt lovely in the palm. That's nice. I know quite a few people were saying they wish there was more depth in the palette. Yeah. But I think this is quite interesting in that it makes sense for those involved. Oh, that's like a duochrome. Oh, interesting. So we have E-Bug, which I don't know what that is. Sugar Mama. Don't know how I feel about that. There you go. Roasted Caramel and Cloudy, which looks like it's a sort of a duochrome. I'm here for it. So we have E-Bug. That'll be a nice blending out shade. Sugar Mama. Ooh, that's nicely pigmented. Roasted Caramel. And this is the one I'm quite interested to see how that goes. Cloudy. Ooh. I like that. And very last two shades, pistachio and blueberry. Oh, they're nice. No, Teresa, you can't do an all green look. Cool your jets. Cool your jets. That's a nice blue though, Gaia. Just saying, when you're coming and visiting, we're going to have to play with some blue eyeshadows. So we have pistachio and we have blue raspberry. Ooh, that is nice, isn't it? I like this colour story. I think it's really interesting. I don't really have anything like this because I don't normally go for pastels. But and I obviously got the two. I say obviously because I am an idiot and have very little self-control with buying my feelings. So I have the two liquid lipsticks, or is it lip glosses? Sorry, two different lip glosses. So we'll try those on with the looks later, because there's no point in like swatching them or whatever, because like a lip gloss is a lip gloss. And the next part of the video is obviously, why do I keep saying obviously? It's a tutorial where we learn to do this beautiful makeup look. Very complicated. But yeah, that's the next bit, and hopefully you enjoy it. I'm looking forward to playing with this. So I sat down with this, and this is I think the third look I ended up doing. Not because the palette is bad. No. It's not one of those instances. It's just I'm having a weird day. And like, I just can't get my brain to work. So I couldn't figure out what it was that I was doing with the palette. So this is what I did. So let's just get straight on into it. So my eyelids are already primed, hurrah. And I'm using a Lois Cosmetics brush, and I'm going into Roasted Caramel. I feel the need to say this. This palette has like some sort of a scent to it. It's very sweet. Like, I suppose because they called it Candy Skies. And I don't hate it. Like, I actually quite like it, if I'm 100% honest. So I'm taking the, was it toasted caramel? Or roasted caramel? There we go, roasted. And I'm popping that up here. And kind of making like a semicircle type thing. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. So yeah, I'm just having a weird day. Some sort of drama at work, which I cannot talk about. And that is driving me a little bit more insane. You know, as if I needed help with that. And I'm taking the Jessup 223 and I'm going into the shade Sugar Mama, which is, I kind of get it because, you know, candy, etc. But something about that phrase that makes me a little bit like, oh dear. And I'm just stamping that on again in a semicircular sort of pattern. Yeah, that's the word, Teresa. That's what you want to say, you silly goose. But yeah, I have that, and work BS, and I'm just kind of frustrated and a bit upset. I just can't talk about it, which is very annoying because it's a whole confidentiality thing. The joys. Anyways, apart from that, I went to see my dad in hospital today. He is doing so much better, so much better. So I'm really glad to just see him kind of coming back to himself, to see how nicely those like shades merge. Quite pleased with that. I'm going to take this brush here. It's an AliExpress one. I know, who am I? And I'm going into Sunset, which is this shimmery orange. I know, what is going on? I'm just going to pop that there to give it a little bit of something, something. Yeah, Dad seemed much better, and thank you to everyone who sent on well wishes. That was so incredibly sweet. Like, how are you all so lovely? I'm very, look, I don't take it for granted that I have such lovely people in my life, so I do really appreciate you guys, like, a lot. I'm taking this 237, it's the Jessup by the way, and I'm going into Mixed Betty, which is a great name, isn't it? And putting that down here, stamping it on. And later on I'll merge them together. That's future Teresa's problem. And popping that here as well. The pigment is quite nice on this. Again, I'm just so distracted by the smell. So I think, you know, if you're that sort of person that hates if your palettes smell like something, you know, like how Too Faced do, that sort of thing, you're not going to enjoy this. This is not going to be your kind of thing. Now, I don't mind it at all. But yeah, it could also not be the best for those of you who may have sensitive eyes, so keep that in mind. So 237, and I'm going into Cloudy, which is a duochrome. It's like this brown, greeny, bluey shift. It's really interesting. Don't know if the camera will necessarily pick it up, but it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Which I feel is like what people say when they meet me and they're like, they don't know what to say. So they're like, she's interesting. Which, you know, fair. Same brush again, and I'm going into Blue Raspberry. Blue Raspberry, which reminds me of, isn't there that scene in Sound of Music where they're talking about the raspberries and they were cold so they turned blue or something like that, where they're trying to get out of the fact that they had run off from their house and their dad had caught them. Vaguely remember that. Oh my god, my musical trivia has clearly fallen apart. Look at how pigmented that is. That's insane. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, a Jessup 317, and I'm going into the shade Macaron. See, I'm cultured, I know things, and I'm popping that kind of in here, like on top of that as an extra sort of a, look at that, it kind of gives it this bluishy tinge, which is just like, ooh, interesting. Now I have this Morphe M562, which has gone through the colour switch, and I'm going to use that just to swish through these colours. Now the kind of pink and the orange have meshed so well that I don't really have to worry about blending them, so I can leave them be. Hurrah. And the purple has kind of almost, yeah, that blended. Pretty much didn't have to do anything there. Yay! And blending here as well. I love it when something blends so effortlessly that I don't have to do much with it, because for those of you who don't know me and are new to my channel, I am horribly lazy. Like my friend Elena, who I love so much, she'll spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours doing like this really intricate look, and I'm like, no, I'm tired. I want to take a nap. I am going to go into that deep purple again. I'm just going to stamp that there. Stamp it. And just do a little swish. Look, it's all very technical. I know. Very technical. And have it kind of transition into the shade Cloudy, which I'm sorry, I'm just like seeing it in my mirror, and the camera probably isn't picking it up, but it's just such a cool duochrome. That's quite cool, you know? This teal, wellity. Now, I know that Laura Lee had issues with the last colourful palette that she had, if I remember correctly. Now, I hadn't got it. It was something like Party something. I've never had anything from Laura Lee before. It just didn't appeal to me. But this, I thought, oh my god, very cute. And the fact that it's done with the niece, that made my little heart, like I'm such a sentimental person. I just thought it was really sweet. So I was like, well then, get into my basket. So yeah, I'm going to cut the crease, which always sounds like a euphemism for a fart, but it's not. And I'm going to use Suva's White Panda. I put a tiny bit of grind from Urban Decay on top. Not a huge amount, just to kind of give a little, and obviously we'll come back and we'll have that done and we'll do the last bit. I'm not going to glue stuff on in front of you guys because I don't have the energy. I love how you can see the liner on this eye is way more white than this. And I'm like, it's because I've gone to absolute town on the shadows. I was like, let's use as many as we possibly can. So I'm using the Jessup 237 and I'm going into the shade Peach Ring, which is this one here. Keep forgetting that the palette smells. I keep being surprised by it. I don't know why I keep being surprised by it. I'm not very bright today, it seems. Look at that, right? It's a pastel shade, but it shows up really easily. Like, I was really, really impressed with that. Like, it's easy to pack on. But we do have to remember, I am like the palest person, like, ever. Well, maybe not ever, but like, you know, I'm very pale. Same brush again, and I'm going into Pink Strawberry. Now, this isn't a true matte. There's some kind of glitter in there, but I'll be honest, my issue with this shade is that once it's on the lid, it looks quite similar, and you wouldn't think it, to the deep pink on, like, in the palette. So I kind of wish they'd maybe gone a shade lighter with this, or done something to kind of differentiate it a little bit more than just the hint of glitter in that, because I think that lets it down ever so slightly, and it's a very strong palette. That is my one kind of, can we call it a concern? Like, I wish to speak to your manager. Not really, but like, you know, it's not a thing to get all whatever about. I'm going into eBug now, which is a pale purple. Same brush again. Spin through the colour switch. Don't know why I did that. Now, I know people have asked me before about the colour switch and what it is. So colour switch is basically like this sort of sponge, and it catches a lot of the shadow on your brush. So it's really great if you want to like quickly use the brush again and make sure you're not like cross-contaminating the shades. Now, it doesn't sterilize, so please do not think that it is an alternative to cleaning your brushes. It's just good for times like this where you're packing on a couple of different colors and you want to use the same brush. Like, you're a person like me who has like a million brushes but keeps going for the same ones over and over. I've said this before, but I need Jessup to do these in singles. I've looked and they don't. So I'm going to say it again. If anyone has any spare Jessup 237s that they do not want, a volunteer's tribute. This doesn't pack the same sort of punch as the rest. However, pale purple, really, really hard to formulate. On the last couple of palettes I've had that have been pastels, I've really struggled. And this is definitely, I think, one of the better ones. So I'm quite pleased with that. Hurrah, makes my life a lot easier. And then, okay, same brush, and I'm going into Sky Blue. Now this is a very pigmented sky blue. I mean, good name for it, really. Look at that. How nuts is that? Hello, there you are, sir. That turns up without much of an issue. So I was quite impressed with that one. Boom! But again, I'd like to see this in darker skin tones. So guys, let me know if you see any reviews of this palette with people who have deeper skin tones, because I'm just interested. I'm curious. I want to see how it performs, because it performs okay for me. Well, more than okay, actually, quite well. But don't go on my opinion alone. I hope you don't do that. Same brush again, and we're going into Mint Chip. Okay, I may be a basic bee, but I love mint chocolate ice cream. My friend Kate maintains that if you like that, you're a bit basic, and I'm like, well, let me be basic, because I enjoy it. I really do. Again, look at that. Very pigmented. I mean, it isn't quite to the same level of pigment as the Kaleidos Mint Fever, which I could write a soliloquy about that. It would be a weird thing to write a soliloquy about, but there you go. I've done weirder things. And now Pistachio, which I love that mint chip and pistachio are right next to each other, because Sahil and I, when we get like gelato, I go for mint and chocolate chip and he goes for pistachio. So that's kind of cute. It tickles me a little bit. Just putting that there. Nice pigment to that as well. You can see I'm rather unsubtly trying to make sure that I can try all of the shades. And going back into Blue Raspberry again, because honestly, this shade alone makes me want to cry in a good way, not in a like, oh no. Everything's sad. It's not, actually, everything is fine. And actually, a cat turned up recently because I think they know. I just know. Like, oh, here's the strange woman. And oh, he's so sweet. I've called him Cinnamon. He's an orange baby. I'll insert a picture now. Anyways, contacted the ISPCA and I'm using the Morphe M562 and I'm going to blend between. And anyways, contacted the ISPCA and gave them pictures, etc. And they were like, okay, we'll check around. And somebody contacted them. They're like, oh, we think that's my cat. And it turned out it actually wasn't, because their cat looked similar but was neutered, and this cat was not neutered. So anyways, he's been to the vet because he had a little eye infection and he needed like cleaning and all of that sort of thing, and like, you know, obviously to get things like spot on and all that sort of thing. He also needed to be neutered. He's such a darling little thing. Anyways, I brought him home. So that is cat number 6. That's what normal people do. I'm taking more of that pale orange and I'm just gonna stamp it there and just kind of gently swish, gently, but nothing massive, nothing huge. And yeah, he's so cute. So I'm really hoping that I can keep him and that nobody turns up and is like, here's my baby. Because I'll be like, I'll fight you for him. Which, you know, I probably shouldn't do that. Like, my dad is going to go nuts when he comes back from the hospital and is like, oh my god, that's the 6th cat. What are you doing? I'm like, well, my mental health is tenuous at best. Let me show you how by the number of cats that I own. So, yeah, he's really sweet though. He's like really cuddly, and I just, oh, he totally needs a bath though, like, you know, but I have to wait until he's like healed from his surgery. But I've called him Cinnamon, Robert, Underdog, Mulhern, Crumb. Robert, because I got a really lovely message from Robert Welsh on, like, in my direct messages this morning, which properly put a smile on my face. I won't say what it is, but he's a lovely, lovely person. And I always suspected he was, but it just kind of confirms it. So I'm like, yeah, you're a good human. You may continue. I mean, he loves dogs, so like, obviously. I think anyone who likes animals in general, they're just good people. I don't really trust people who don't like animals. That sounds really horrible, but some people just have had bad experiences. But I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm in a weird place. That's essentially it, guys. You know the drill. I'll come back, we'll do a close-up. You can admire my beauty, and I will tell you what I think. We obviously have to try the 2 glosses, so we'll do that next, towards the end of the video. So, yes. So now all that's really left is to try out the lip glosses. So I have Strawberry Sky and E-Bug, which there's a shade in the palette called E-Bug as well. So I'm going to try Strawberry Sky first. I have outlined my lips in Beauty Bay's lip liner in the shade Toast. Toast. Toast and candies, guys. I mean, very healthy diet. There isn't a wildly, there's a kind of an odd smell on it. Not something I would be very keen on, but you know, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. It doesn't have any like benefits or like volumizing or anything like that. It's pretty standard. I don't like the smell of it, for 100% honest. So that is what Strawberry Sky looks like. So I have outlined my lips again, and now we are going in with E-Bug. It kind of looks a little bit like the Lunar Beauty gloss. Can't remember what it's called. Same smell to it. It's very chemically, like, and not in a nice way. Is there a nice way to be chemically? Maybe. Okay, so there's a little bit of glitter in this, but I don't think it's wildly noticeable. This is eBug. So now I'm going to show you a close-up of the eyes so you can see what it is that I did with the palette. Full disclosure, I put a little bit of the white shade underneath, and we're going to talk about that in a second. So this is the look with the glasses on. I put the white underneath here. I packed on a lot, but it just faded away. The kind of pigment on that isn't great. It's not a very good white. Although frankly, I think having a white in that pastel palette was a bit redundant. I wouldn't have personally gone with it. I also put some of the shades on as blushes. So specifically, I kind of mixed roasted caramel and peach ring. So these two shades here, I use them as a little bit of a blush. So this is what it looks like. Yeah, I mean, it's not the best I've done, but it's also not the worst. So that means that we are on to the review portion of this video. Now I'm going to start off with the lip glosses. Overpriced for what they are. Look, I think lip glosses in general are a bit meh. Formula is fine. Like, it doesn't feel like particularly sticky. But there are just as good out there for a fraction of the cost. So, and like, there's not really much difference between the two, in my opinion. So it feels a little bit redundant. This looked like it was going to be a super interesting shade, but it didn't really end up translating to that on the lip. For that reason, for the price, etc., I would give this a 4 out of 10. I wouldn't recommend picking these up. I think these are a little bit of the dud of the collection. But then again, I get underwhelmed by glasses. So now I suppose we have to talk about the palette. So Candy Skies. This is obviously what it looks like. I want to talk first about the white shade Marshmallow. Not very pigmented. I know I didn't use that on camera. I had actually tried it a few times. There really isn't a lot of pigment to it. I find it very, very underwhelming. It's not the worst white I've ever tried, but it's definitely not like the best. Like, I wouldn't write any soliloquies about it. What is it with me writing soliloquies? Don't know. I would also say that these two shades here, Pink Strawberry and Sugar Mama, once they're on the lid, they actually look very, very similar. So it kind of becomes a little bit redundant. I think they should have made maybe Pink Strawberry like a shade or two lighter, and that would have made a lot more sense. Other than that, the pastels perform really well, very vibrant on me, but then again, that's me, I'm super pale, so not really sure how it's going to work on a pale or a darker skin tone. I would say this is very pricey, given the fact that it is essentially a collaboration with a teenager, and they are going to be presumably going for a teenage market. The colours are very like teenage-esque. So I feel like the price is a little bit high for what it is. I think if they had even put it down to $35, which is still very high, it would have made a smidge more sense. It wouldn't be quite so whatever. So for that reason, I would give this a 7 out of 10. I actually think it's a very solid palette. All in all, I'm very happy with a good 90% of the shades, right? The only exception being the white and the two shades that are a little bit too similar with each other. But other than that, I actually do think it's really quite good. It's very difficult to have a pigmented pastel, but they worked for me. Let me know if you guys picked it up. What have your experiences been with the palette? Never go with just what one person thinks. If you can find other reviews, go with that as well, you know. Let's have informed decisions. But that's it. Do please like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell so you can have more of whatever it is that I do over here. Do please share, because sharing is caring, unless of course it's an STD, in which case, you know, wrap it up. Don't be gross. But that's it. That's the end of the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.